It's with great relief that I don't have to be tempted by them, and it's not because the van's already full. So in the last video I did was paired grain match bookshelves for the boys' room. Up until now we've just been surviving on grabbing free stuff like that off the side of the road, using it until it fell to bits. But now that new set of shelves for them, we don't have to do that anymore. We've then got rid of those things. Well, when I say get rid of, we've actually just piled them up out the front, which is a bit of a mess. At the moment, they're kind of serving as a temporary fence to keep our new pup in. And yes, he is a puppy. He's only 7 months old. He's gonna get a lot bigger. So this brings to the top of the priority list another project I've been meaning to do, which is a set of screens. We are short, and we're short by, from the center mark of the vertical, whoop, turn that over, we are 85 mil short. Now you can do this by trial and error. In this case I'm short by 85 millimeters, divide that by the number of divisions, which is 10, 8.5 millimeters is how much I need to expand the breadth, the setting of the calipers or the dividers. Of course we're going to double check that and go again, but this will get us very close to the final figure we need. Right, that is now, I'd say 2 mil. Now a 2 millimeter discrepancy is close enough, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that all of that 2 millimeters is in the center panel. That's going to make the center panel a little bit larger. I don't think anyone will pick up on that, but it's just, if you're going to have the mistake or the difference somewhere, put it where it's going to do some good. And having that center panel just that little bit larger, I think will just have, or if anyone does notice it subconsciously, I think it's better that the center panel is bigger than the side panels. So to make sure that that extra 2 millimeters, and I know I'm being anal, but you know, this is what I do. This is who I am. But to make sure that extra 2 millimeters is in the center panel, I'm going to mark out the outside panels from the outside. So mark out the first 2 joints for the panel verticals 1 and 2 from the left, and then mark out the position for the panel verticals 3 and 4 from the right. Now I'm making 3 of these screens, they're all the same. And so the next step that I'm going to do is cut the top rails for the other 2 screens and then transfer the positions of the joints for the first one to the other 2. Having done that, I'm now going to start actually laying out joints. Now, the joints are going to need to be customized for the actual pieces, and why that is will make sense shortly. Now, the challenge that you've got when you're doing this is that you've got to fit the tenon to the mortise, but you want the faces of the finished pieces to line up perfectly. So how do you position the tenon perfectly and the mortise perfectly? Well, so what I'm doing is I'm marking one side of where I want the vertical panel dividing piece to sit. So we want to line up a centre mark here with our centre mark there, and do that for all the others. So I've marked this face, the position of this, where this face is going to rest on the rail. Actually, what I've marked is where this bit here, which is the shoulder of the tenon, is going to sit on the rail. So the next step is I've got to mark the edge of the tenon. Now to do that, I've got to start cutting the tenon. This is where it gets a little tricky. The edge of the tenon that I want to mark is here. So I want to remove this piece. The thing is, I can't remove that piece without first doing the cuts to do the sides of the tenon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically do all the saw cuts for cutting the tenon so that I don't lose the information of where the saw cuts need to be. Once I've done that, I'm then going to remove this piece here, and then I'm going to mark this face, not of the rail, the finished piece, but this face of the tenon, and I'll have that face of the tenon in the right place because I've marked this face of the piece. So I will put the piece, look, okay, so that's me explaining it. Now I'll have to show you. I've done all the ripping saw cuts, and see here, you can see those saw cuts that are cut there, and just note that doesn't look entirely straight. We'll get back to that. And here I've removed this piece. Okay, so now I can place this on the rail and mark where the end of the tenon is. Then I'm going to remove this piece here. What that allows me to do is I can now place this back on the rail. I can reference my mark for this face, reference my mark for this face, and then I'll be able to mark this side of the tenon. That will give me, for the mortise, so that will give me the mortise laid out on two sides. Once I've got the exact position of the mortise laid out on two sides, I can cut off the rest of the tenon and then cut the mortise to suit the tenon. Complicated? Let me show you again. Right, there's our centre mark. There's the leading face, so I'll just mark that now. Future reference, I've got to take the other side off, but anyway. Now I can mark the position of the tenon. Now I'm not sure if you can see, but I've made a mistake. When I was laying out the tenons, I intentionally set the tenon so that one side was away from the groove. and that meant that I'd have solid wood on this side, and this, you know, this is a bit flimsy and probably break off. But at least one side was going to be solid, and also one side would be set onto solid wood here. Unfortunately, because I've removed this side of the tenon, or sorry, because I've revealed this cheek of the tenon, that means I'm trying to lay the mortise out on, well, basically no wood, because that's the line in the groove just there. Now, it's going to be okay, but it's not ideal. So in future, what I want to make sure is that I'm cutting off this piece so I can lay out the mortise on this solid wood here. And that'll make getting this corner just there exactly in the right position, which will help me get the rest of the mortise in the right position. I'm not very pleased with my cuts, unfortunately. The saw's wandering a bit, and the reason for that is it's getting blunt. So I'm going to stop this video at this point, because I've got a lot more of these to do. And in the next video, I'm going to see how I go at sharpening this saw, which is a lot finer than any other saw that I've tried to sharpen so far. So wish me luck, and if you want to see that video, stay tuned and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification so that when it comes out, you'll get notified. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.